Hello there, happy Tuesday. I'm coming to you from a little bit different scene. Don't have my big microphone to hide behind today, but I wanted to make this important video right away from here inside my house. So I'll just get right after it. There are two major vulnerabilities that we need to discuss today. The first was announced last night. There's another 0-day that's been announced in Google Chrome. While there will be an update coming out, you should see an option to relaunch in your address bar probably in the next few hours or maybe tomorrow at some point. I would recommend that you go ahead and manually update your Google Chrome right now. It's actually not hard at all to do. You click the three dots at the top right, click Help at the bottom of that menu, and then go to About Google Chrome. In the middle of that screen, you'll either see a blue check mark that says you're all up to date, or it will immediately start downloading a new version, at the end of which you'll see a relaunch button appear. Chrome will close, reopen, and you're good. I would go ahead and do that now, pause this video, get that done, and then we can talk about the next vulnerability. So hopefully you fixed Chrome now, and we're back to talk about Log4j. I'm sure you've seen news articles about it, or you've read something somewhere, and you might be curious about how it impacts you. I think the answer for basically everyone in the world right now is, to a certain extent, we're just going to have to see. That doesn't mean we're not doing a ton of things to try to mitigate it, but as far as where this will head long term, I don't know that anybody necessarily knows. The really scary part about this vulnerability is that it could be utilized at the end of the day to put in what's called a foothold. And so they would use this vulnerability to gain access to something they shouldn't have, and then use that access to sit there and watch legitimate business activity that might be going on, or look for avenues to exfiltrate data. Basically all bad news for business or individuals that have data they want to protect. So what is Log4j? In a really basic sense, it's a vulnerability where a logging service that sits behind the scenes in commonly used software, some locally installed, some web-based. I'll get into a specific example in just a second, but what happens is, rather than just recording logs, if you use a specifically crafted string of text and put it into, say, the username field, instead of just reporting that failed login, that specially crafted text string can actually cause the logging service to run a command within that server, which, when you kind of take it to its logical conclusion, could allow someone with zero access, no access rights whatsoever, to completely compromise the system, to exfiltrate data, to put themselves in a long-term position to camp out and see what happens. All of it is truly, really horrendously bad news. So what are we doing? First and foremost, our partnership with Huntress Labs has proved invaluable multiple times. This is yet another case of that. We were notified by them Friday morning of this vulnerability. We then started to look at what might be susceptible in our environment just based off the little we knew at that time. We were comforted that there wasn't a lot, but one of the things we quickly identified was the Ubiquiti Unify system that we use to host a lot of networks was impacted. Hostify, the company that we use to host those services, and Ubiquiti themselves released a patch by late Friday morning, and that has been put into place on all of our systems so that our networks should be safe. From there, Huntress on late Friday night, early Saturday morning, released a tool that let us check various applications to see if they might be compromised. We checked some of those. We found some surveillance systems that needed some changes made to secure them. We made those changes. And then on Monday morning, a script was released that let us scan all of our client environments to see vulnerabilities. And what we came away noticing was we had a client with the software Papercut that was vulnerable to this, and so there's a remediation already from them that we've enacted. The rest of what we've seen is that there are some individual applications on people's computers that are susceptible to this. Now, where that becomes a little bit of a good news thing is that, as opposed to something like Ubiquiti Unify, where someone from the web could infiltrate that system without proper access really easily, if you have a program on your personal computer, there's still going to be hurdles that they have to get through to interact with that. And so it's a little bit of a silver lining that the normal physical security that we have in place will help protect that. We will continue to watch for updates to these apps. Off the top of my head, a few that we saw that were vulnerable to it were some versions of Tableau, some versions of Sync I think it's called Sink or Swim. It's an investment application. Minecraft, which is a game, is susceptible to this and needs to be updated. And then there were a few others. There's a program related to architectural code, like to look up codes for architectural drawings that appears to be impacted. Long story short, if we think that something needs to be done, we'll reach out to you directly. But if you do have questions about this at any time, always welcome to hit me up here on LinkedIn, email our help desk at help@fireflymsp.com, and we'll be happy to discuss more. But this is an evolving situation that requires everybody's attention. If any service you have suggests mitigation steps that need to be taken, I would highly recommend you take those. And as always, we're happy to help advise on that as well. Thank you for your time.